Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Entrepreneurship 101. And thank you for tuning in live here on Entre. But we're a weekly podcast from the Abington Launchbox. I'm Alex Angermeyer, the Launchbox producer. I'm joined here with the director of the Abington Launchbox, Peter Thornberger. Peter, how you doing?
I'm good, Alex. Thanks for asking. And thanks again for producing yet another episode of Entrepreneurship 101 here at the Abington Launchbox, located at Penn State Abington. And this is our weekly podcast, as Alex mentioned, where we talk about some bite-sized topics. We only talk about them for 101 seconds. We have some different opinions, and we even have a live audience join us on the Entre platform, which is a platform for entrepreneurs to communicate, share, network, pitch, and basically build their business and their brand. We've moved over here to do our recordings. You can check us out at the Entre platform, their website, joinentre.com. Or you can just wait and check us out when we release these on Tuesdays through most of the podcasting platforms and YouTube. All right, so Alex, you want to kick us off and let us get started with our first topic, and we'll get into the 101-second process for the
Yeah,
final time of 2021. This is going to be our final episode of 2021. So Alex, let's get it rolling.
sure is. So, for the first topic, basically, I just finished my third semester here at Penn State Abington. I basically wanted to know, basically, how do you stand out towards your professor? Is it basically just participating in class? How much effort do you put in? I just want to hear your thoughts as a professor.
Sure. So I'll put 101 seconds on the clock for me. And you can't see it. You can see it on Entre, but time goes quickly. So let me share some of my thoughts, both as a professor and just in general. How do you kind of make your presence known, felt, and valued? And I think it matters the same way as if you're walking down the street, you're walking into a cafe to order a coffee, or if you're a student walking into class. And most of it's just simple. Be a general human. I think it's my responsibility as a professor to make sure that I teach students. So each student has individual value. And to me, one of the things that really stands out that I really appreciate, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to grade someone higher, but man, it really helps me. I'm standing in front of a room of people trying to convey information, and oftentimes it's not the preferred space. People want to be doing something else. So little things. I have students that sometimes when they walk in, they just say, "Hello, Peter," make eye contact. Sometimes I used to get a handshake. Now I maybe get a fist bump. Those things are great. They boost my spirits, and they really make it a lot more enjoyable for me to spend the next couple of hours in a room with students. And it's just general kindness, general humanity. So same thing happens when you walk into a cafe and you order a coffee, say hello, how are you doing, make eye contact. Those things really stand out. So it doesn't have to be answer every question, write down notes. I'm not somebody that gets crazy if you look at a phone. Like, we all live busy lives. So, if a message comes in, look at it. But also just reflect and share general kindness and humanity to me. And that's going to make you stand out, whether it's in class, in a job interview, or just as we pass ways while we're walking down the street. Alex, as a student, what are some things that you think or at least perceive matter for you? And what are your thoughts on standing out in class? I'm going to put you on your 101 seconds starting right now.
Yeah, I liked how you mentioned like the little fist pump or saying hello to the professor because I guess like for students like me, we might take that for granted. Like we might, oh, that's too much, or just go to class, sit down. But I liked how you mentioned that because like I sometimes would not do that, but I'll definitely take that into consideration next time because those little things help you and help me. Like like you said, boost your spirits. So I'll definitely take that in consideration because I guess students take that for granted and they just want to get done with class, or they might not like that class, or they just want to sit down and get it over with. So I'll definitely take that in consideration. But definitely during the pandemic, we had virtual class and Zoom. And definitely one thing I saw with Zooms is that a lot of students did not participate, which that was just in class or definitely in breakout rooms. I saw a lot of students didn't want to participate, it was just blank screens. But I guess during that time, if you just participate in, just put some effort into trying or answer the questions, because sometimes the professor would say, raise your hand or answer this, or like it volunteers, and a lot of students would not volunteer. But I saw that those students that really volunteered and just, even if they didn't were successful or like didn't like get the answer right, I saw those professors really enjoyed that student just standing up to the plate and just giving their opinion. I mean, it was I can see why it was very hard for some professors for online transition to online because that engagement. But I guess those students that really stood out were those students that put in effort. I guess made the class more fun and more engageable, and just basically made it a comfortable environment for other students.
Yeah, and there it is, 101. So you hit it almost right on the nose. You're maybe 2 seconds ahead of schedule, which is pretty darn good. And you're right. To me, I appreciate your words out because as a professor, I have feelings. My guess is every human has feelings, and we all just want to be have our humanity reflected. So same things, when I walk into a room as a professor, it doesn't mean that I am super confident. Sometimes I'm having a low confidence day, and just having another human walk into the room and say, hey, how's it going today? Makes a big difference for me. And I really appreciate that. And I try to reflect that as a professor to also ask you guys, how are you doing? And hopefully that all resonates and works in any kind of human to human interaction. All right, Alex, let's get a little bit of call to action. Where can people find our content? If they're looking for more content from us, where should we send them to look for it?
Yeah, you can find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can also find our YouTube channel at Abington Launchbox. We upload every Tuesday, 11 a.m. And we're also looking for guests. So if you think you're a good candidate or you just want to get more information, you can contact us at abington.launchbox.psu.edu. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, and you can also just drop us a message if you're on Entra and you want to possibly be a guest in the future episodes starting in 2022. Drop us a message. We'd be happy to connect and get you some space. You can try your own 101-second take. With that, we're going to put Alex here on the clock on topic number 2. And this, I think, relates back to learning again. And I guess the question is, Alex, should entrepreneurs read books? And, how do you keep up with information in this day and age? There's a general concept that reading is leading. That's how you become a leader. You need to consume, process, and interpret information. So I want to throw this over to you. It's 2021. We're about to turn to 2022. Should entrepreneurs be reading books? If it's not books, what other things should they be accessing so that they can get knowledge and build their leadership and develop themselves as leaders of others and leaders of companies? So Alex, 101 seconds starts for you right now.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Yeah, I actually kind of do enjoy reading. Over the years, I gained more experience with reading. Like in high school, I was like, oh, I'm never going to read a book. But for being a college student now, I do kind of enjoy reading. But for students that don't enjoy reading, there's other outlets to, you can do audiobooks. But if you don't like audiobooks, you can actually do podcasts. Podcasts are become more popular nowadays. So like what I like to do is just turn on a podcast while I'm driving because like I'm basically forced. I mean, I can listen to something because I'm already doing something. So it gives me something to do. So basically I do that, but I actually kind of enjoy reading because I found out like if I sit down and actually read a book, it allows me to relax because I'm more of an introvert. So that's more a way to recharge my personal battery, I would like to say. So I get to sit down, read, and basically it can help you solve your problems. Like it allows you to be in your own space and deal. I mean, you can pick any book you want, nonfiction. I gear more to nonfiction entrepreneurship books, but if you like fiction, like creativity, it's all up to you. But like I said, it basically helps you can solve your problems. You're in your zone. It can open up to new opportunities because there is not a lot of people that like to read. So if you're one of those people that like to read, you can find things other people like, be open to more opportunities. You can connect more dots. You're more informed, I like to say. So basically, you can find more opportunities that way. Basically, you can make more informed choices. I mean, you're more knowledgeable, I would say. So you're more well-rounded, so you can make more decisions. And yeah.
All right, there's 101. All right, so let me share some of my thoughts on this. I'll just reflect back. And I like reading. For me, reading does something really well that I think matters for entrepreneurs, which is it helps me kind of clear my day, end my day, and I find I sleep much more solidly if I spend 20 minutes reading before I go to sleep than if I'm spending time on my phone, on a computer, doing something seemingly productive. It tends to make my sleep cycle much worse, which then impacts my productivity the next day. So for me, reading does that. It also is a great way, as you mentioned, to access content, access stories. And that's the other thing I would mention is I think reading books are important. I'm not going to go through and list all the common entrepreneurship books, because I would also suggest find stories that matter. And as you're reading, you're the narrator. You have control of that content. You can actually weave in themes that you want. So whether it's entrepreneurship, that's great. I do this with movies. We have an assignment in one of my classes where students watch movies and then look for entrepreneurial themes. So movies like Jurassic Park, they're great action and thriller movies, but there's an entrepreneurship thread, innovation, creativity, ethics, all built into that movie. And I think it's really valuable to watch it from that perspective. The other thing I'll mention is I think there's other resources that people can be using of value. Things like watching stand-up comedy. As an entrepreneur, telling your story, getting attention, it's more than just about the thing that you're trying to sell. You need to be able to command an audience, control attention with tone, volume, pace. And I think that's a really important thing that you can learn by watching others in that kind of platform. Stand-up comedy, I think, is one of those where you're a lone person on a stage trying to control and get people's attention. Very similar to entrepreneurship. Way over 101. I'm sorry, but I guess I have control of the clock, so I guess I get to get away with that occasionally. I apologize, but that's already topic number 2. We're going to get into topic number 3 in just a moment. But again, I'll just throw it back over to Alex as a quick reminder. Again, the Entrepreneurship 101 podcast, where can people find that content if they're interested in checking out more of this? Where do they find us?
Yeah, live here on Entre 12:15, Spotify podcast, Apple Podcasts, our YouTube channel at the Abington Launchbox. And like we said, we're always looking for guests, so you can always message us here on Entre or at our website at abingtonlaunchbox.psu.edu.
Yeah, and if you want to join us, even just as a member of the live audience, you can find us on Join Entre. So Entre is, again, a platform for entrepreneurs to connect, communicate, and pitch their ideas to each other. And you can find us on that platform on Fridays at 12:15. We're going to take a little break here at the end of December into early January 2022, but we'll be back in January of 2022 with more episodes. And with that, we get to the final topic from the final podcast of 2021. Alex, you want to leave us with what is the last thing we're going to talk about?
Yeah, so topic 3, basically our semester is coming to an end here. So basically next semester we're going to be able to host events for our Entrepreneurial Student Association. So I want to ask you, because you're involved with the Student Association too, like what events should we run, like how to find students to join, how to drive engagement. I think we talked about that before, but like what events would you have and how to find students?
Yeah, so this is all about how do we engage entrepreneurs and how do we engage, particularly, young entrepreneurs on a college campus. That's our challenge. Something I'm going to be partaking in. Alex, you definitely have that challenge moving forward. And I'm a believer in finding points where there are multiple outlets that can benefit. So connecting with others. So joining maybe with the Anime and Gaming Club, which is one of the largest, most active clubs at Penn State Abington. But there's a lot of innovation and entrepreneurship in the gaming world. So maybe having some game nights where we're problem solving, right? That tends to be one of the things I love about games, whether it's board games, video games. There's a problem solving component built into it. And that's really what entrepreneurship is about. It's about problem solving and trying to connect with a challenge that's out there. You provide a solution that makes the problem either go away or gives people a reason to say, this is better than what I've been doing to deal with my problem. So I love connecting with groups like that have similar themes like problem solving built in. There could be things like movie nights, where again, we're super casual ways, low barriers to entry, so that to me, building an entrepreneurial student association, building any kind of thing, this is about community. So getting people connected to each other, I think, is more important than connecting people to the club or the mission. So finding ways to get people connected, talking, finding common ground, I think is the most important thing you can do in 2021 to build an entrepreneurial student association or any community. Find ways to connect people to each other. Alex, this is it. Final word for the final podcast for 2021. What are your thoughts? You're running an entrepreneur student association at Penn State Abington. It's really kind of like a startup. You just started it. Now we've got to create the customers and create kind of the continual revenue generation. For us, maybe it's not dollars, but it's engagement. How are you going to generate revenue / engagement for a student organization starting in 2022? Let me hear some of your thoughts, Alex. Last 101 seconds starts now.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be easy, but I liked how you mentioned like defining points of outlet, like definitely going to different communities or for us, like different clubs, like the gaming anime club, like they have the most driving engagement, they have the most people, so that's a great starting point, like you mentioned. So basically, you could probably do like co-hosts or co-events, and basically see who's interested in it because you're probably not going to get a lot of people, but it still gets or still helps you network, grows your network. Maybe they'll tell someone about it. But like you mentioned too about gaming, gaming is kind of like entrepreneurship. I love the game myself, and you're always solving problems. You're trying to get to the next level. So there is those key features. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could connect to entrepreneurship, and gaming is one of them. And even animation. I mean, you could connect a lot of things to entrepreneurship. So basically, you could do that. And there's other clubs too that have great engagement. You can reach out to them. They may say yes, but it doesn't hurt to reach out to all these clubs. I mean, and then see what you could do. See how you can help them. Maybe they can come to you, or you can go to their event, or you can just do or mutual or co-host. It doesn't matter. And basically, going back to the gaming, I mean, you're connecting the dots to find a solution. Like you're connecting the dots to beat that level. So it's basically entrepreneurship, like I said, and like it is a startup. Like I mentioned before in one other podcast, like it's not like a checker flag. It's basically like a green light flag to basically now you got to find these customers or students. So it's going to be hard, but I can see we are doing it. We have 3 students, so I think we'll be fine.
I agree. All right, that is Entrepreneurship 101 for the last time, our last episode in December of 2021. And before we wrap up with final thoughts, again, I just want to say thank you to Alex Angermeyer for being our producer, our Launchbox amplifier, organizing this. I want to thank those that join in to our live recording on Entre. It's great to have a few people in our audience, and if anyone wants to, they can stick around for our after show and they can jump on the stage and actually take a shot at their own 101 seconds. That's one of the, I think, interesting benefits of us being on the Entre platform for our live recording. And then on Tuesdays, these come out through the regular podcasting platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast. This comes out. So we appreciate your support. We appreciate you listening, and we hope that you join us back in 2022 for more of this same content and probably some new stuff. So Alex, as we always do, final word goes to you as we wrap up for the day and for the year.
Yeah, thank you for listening. It's been a great year. And don't forget, you can find this recording on YouTube at 11 o'clock on Tuesday.